You keep trying to fix yourself. Every morning you wake up and look in the mirror, and before you even take a breath, you judge. That silent glance becomes a battlefield. Your mind starts picking you apart like a surgeon with a dull knife. Too soft here, too weak there, not enough yet. And that quiet whisper inside you says it again. Something's wrong with me. But let me ask you something real. Who told you that? Who decided that you needed fixing? Because you weren't born this way. You weren't born doubting yourself, chasing self-improvement like it was salvation. You learned it from a world that told you to be polished instead of present, from people who called your pain drama and your passion too much, from systems that profit when you feel unworthy. And now you stand here, trying to heal a wound that was never yours to begin with. The mirror doesn't just reflect your face, it reflects your programming. It shows you the mask you've built to survive, not the soul that's been fighting underneath it. You keep reaching for new habits, new books, new rituals, as if healing were a ladder to climb. But what if healing isn't climbing? What if it's descending into the parts of yourself you've been running from? You say you want peace, but peace isn't found by erasing your chaos. It's found by listening to it, by sitting with it until it stops screaming. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And that's what's happening here. You're trying to fix what you can see, the surface, while ignoring the shadow underneath that's quietly steering everything. You can fix your habits. You can fix your posture. You can fix your schedule. But if you don't face the truth of what you feel, if you keep pretending your darkness is a mistake, then nothing changes. You just become a prettier version of the same cage. The mirror lies when it tells you your reflection is the whole story. You are more than what's visible, more than what's acceptable. You are the war and the peace, the rage and the grace. And maybe, just maybe, the moment you stop trying to fix yourself is the moment you finally start to see yourself. Because the real work isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you were before the world convinced you needed fixing. There's a war inside you. You've felt it for years. The silent collision between who you are and who you're trying to be. The chaos behind the calm smile. The storm behind the steady tone. You think no one sees it, but you do. Every night before you fall asleep, you hear it. That quiet battle between your light and your shadow. And you wake up the next morning pretending the war doesn't exist. But here's the truth. Denial doesn't end the war. It just turns you into a casualty of your own suppression. We all have a shadow. Carl Jung didn't invent that idea. He revealed it. He gave a name to the darkness we all pretend isn't there. Your shadow is everything you've exiled from yourself. The anger you were punished for showing. The sadness you were told to hide. The hunger, the envy, the lust, the rage, the small voice that whispers, "What if I'm not as good as I pretend to be?" You buried it all. To be loved, to be accepted, to be safe. But what you bury alive doesn't die. It grows roots in your subconscious. It waits, it festers in the dark, shaping your choices, your relationships, your fears, until one day it bursts through the surface, and you call it self-sabotage. You say things like, "I don't know why I keep doing this. I don't know why I push people away. I don't know why I always end up here." You do know. A part of you knows. But that part has been chained in the basement of your mind for so long, you've forgotten what its voice sounds like. You think you can fix it by staying positive, by rewriting your affirmations, by keeping your vibe high. But you can't out-manifest your own shadow. You can't light candle your way out of the underworld. You have to go down there. You have to look it in the eyes. You have to see the monster and realize it's you. And here's the paradox. When you stop running from it, it stops chasing you. When you stop fighting it, it stops attacking you. Because it never wanted to destroy you. It wanted to be acknowledged. Your shadow isn't evil. It's exiled potential. It's the part of your soul that got locked away the day you decided it was safer to be accepted than to be real. The anger you suppress might be the fuel for your power. The envy you shame might be the compass pointing to what you truly desire. The fear you run from might be the guardian of your purpose. But you'll never know until you stop pretending you're all light. Because light without darkness is blindness, and the self without the shadow is just a performance. The war within isn't about choosing sides, it's about realizing they were never enemies. They were two halves of the same truth, the same soul, fighting to be seen as one. So stop trying to silence your darkness. Sit with it, listen to it, let it teach you, because the moment you stop fighting yourself is the moment you finally find peace. Not the fragile peace of pretending, but the fierce, grounded peace of becoming whole. Perfection. The cruelest illusion we've ever been sold. They told you to aim for it, to polish yourself until you shine, to smile when you're breaking, to stay composed while your heart is screaming, to get over it, move on, be positive. You know what that really means? It means be quiet. It means don't make people uncomfortable with your truth. It means hide the parts that make you human. And so you did. You learned to wear masks better than faces. You became fluent in pretending. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You apologized for existing too loudly. You made yourself small just to fit into a world that only rewards the polished, the productive, the picture-perfect. But perfection is a lie. It's the most elegant prison ever built. A golden cage with clean walls and no air. Because when you chase perfection, you start editing your soul. You smooth out the wrinkles that tell your story. You silence the voice that trembles with truth. You erase your edges until there's nothing left but a hollow imitation of who you used to be. You start to think healing means becoming flawless, that to be spiritual, you must always be calm, detached, enlightened. You start to confuse numbness with peace. But peace is not sterile. Peace is not the absence of pain. It's the acceptance of it. Real peace is bloody. It's raw. It's earned by walking through the fire, not avoiding it. You keep trying to transcend your humanity as if it were a curse instead of a calling. But Jung understood. He said that people don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious, by facing the mess, the grief, the longing, the rage, by realizing that the divine lives not in your perfection, but in your imperfection, in your brokenness, your contradictions, your depth. Perfection makes you predictable. Realness makes you alive. Think about it. The people who move you, who shake you, who awaken something inside you. Are they perfect? Number. They're raw. They're scarred. They're beautifully human in a world terrified of being seen. So what are you doing trying to edit your humanity out of existence? Who are you trying to impress? A society that worships illusion? A world that confuses image for worth? Stop. Stop cutting yourself to fit into the frame. You were never meant to be a painting on someone else's wall. You were meant to be a wildfire, uncontrolled, uncontainable, alive. The moment you stop chasing perfection and start embracing your contradictions, you begin to breathe again. You begin to exist again. Because the truth is, your cracks are not proof of your brokenness. They're proof that the light got in. They're proof that you've lived, that you've fallen, shattered, rebuilt, and kept going. And maybe that's the point. Not to be perfect, but to be real. To be so radically, unapologetically human that your very existence becomes an act of rebellion in a world addicted to pretending. You can only hold it together for so long. There comes a moment, and you know it, when the pretending starts to choke you, when the smile feels like a lie, when the silence inside your chest becomes unbearable, when every part of you whispers, "I can't keep doing this." That's not weakness. That's the sound of truth breaking through. You call it a breakdown, but maybe it's the beginning of becoming real. Because the truth is, transformation doesn't begin with inspiration. It begins with collapse. With something inside you finally shattering under the weight of all the pretending. You can only carry an inauthentic life for so long before your soul starts to rebel. You start to forget what you really sound like, what you really want, what it feels like to breathe without guilt. And when the mask finally cracks, it's terrifying. You look at yourself and realize you don't know who you are anymore. You feel naked, exposed, unstable. Good. That's the point. Because for the first time, you're not standing on borrowed ground. You're standing in the wreckage of illusion. And that's the most honest place you can be. You've spent years trying to protect yourself from pain, but the pain was never the enemy. It was the doorway. The initiation. Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And he was right. Awakening isn't a peaceful meditation on a mountain. It's a scream in the middle of the night. It's the moment you realize the person you've been is too small for the soul you're becoming. It hurts because it's supposed to. Growth isn't gentle. It's violent. It rips away the false, the shallow, the safe, until all that's left is what's true. You'll feel like you're losing everything, your certainty, your identity, your sense of control. But what you're really losing is the lie. The lie that said you had to earn love. The lie that said you had to be fixed before you were worthy. The lie that said your darkness made you unlovable. Let it fall apart. Let every illusion burn. Because what's born from the ashes isn't a version of you that fits. It's a version of you that's free. The breaking point is sacred. It's not the end. It's the beginning. The soul doesn't whisper, "I'm done." It roars, "Now we begin." And in that moment, when everything you thought you were collapses, you'll feel something stirring underneath the wreckage, something ancient, something wild, something honest. That's you, the real you, the one who's been waiting for you to stop pretending. So let yourself break. Let the tears come. Let the silence fall heavy. Because after the breaking comes becoming. And when you finally rise, you'll realize that what broke you was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to set you free. After the breaking, there is silence. A deep, unsettling stillness that feels almost holy. You stand in the ruins of everything you thought you were, and for the first time you're not reaching for anything. Not fixing, not escaping, just breathing. That's when it happens. The flicker. The faint, steady pulse of something alive inside the emptiness. It's not peace. Not yet. It's not joy either. It's fire. The kind of fire that doesn't ask for permission to burn. The kind that rises from pain, not despite it. And you realize, this is what wholeness feels like. Not calm, not clean, but real. You start to understand. You don't need to erase your past to become new. You need to carry it, honor it, let it become the foundation of your becoming. Because the parts of you that were once in conflict, the light and the dark, the saint and the sinner, the victim and the fighter, they're not enemies anymore. They're allies. They're family. This is what Jung meant when he spoke of individuation, becoming whole. Not perfect, not purified. Whole, integrated. You've stopped running from your shadow, and now you walk beside it. You understand its language, its wounds, its wisdom. You begin to see that your darkness isn't a flaw. It's depth. It's gravity. It's the soil from which your authenticity grows. When you were trying to be good, you were predictable. When you become whole, you become powerful. Because a person who accepts all of themselves cannot be controlled by fear. You become dangerous, not because you want to hurt anyone, but because no one can use your shame against you anymore. You've walked through the fire of self-confrontation and emerged on the other side, still standing, still breathing, still you. You've seen what's inside, and you didn't flinch. Do you understand how rare that is? To face your demons and realize they were just parts of you that wanted to come home? This is real strength, not the loud, aggressive kind, the quiet kind, the steady, unshakable presence of someone who knows who they are. When you stop fighting yourself, your energy returns, your clarity sharpens. You start living from your center instead of chasing validation. You stop performing. You stop apologizing. You stop trying to make everyone understand your journey, because you finally understand it yourself. You no longer search for light outside of you. You are the light, because you've integrated the dark that once dimmed it. This is the fire of wholeness. It doesn't consume. It refines. It burns away illusion, but it leaves truth intact. And when you rise from it, you don't rise as someone new. You rise as someone true. There comes a moment, after all the burning, after all the breaking, when the noise inside you finally quiets, not because everything is fixed, but because you've stopped fighting yourself. You sit there in the silence of what remains, and for the first time, you feel present, not drifting into the future, not haunted by the past, just here. And it hits you. This is what awakening feels like. Not bliss, not perfection, but clarity. The kind of clarity that comes only after walking through your own darkness and realizing it was never your enemy. It was your teacher. You start to see everything differently. The pain that once felt like punishment now feels like initiation. The confusion that once broke you now feels like guidance. Every scar, every loss, every heartbreak, you see it all for what it was, a conversation with your soul. You understand now that nothing was wasted, nothing was meaningless. Every wound was a door, every fall was a map. The universe wasn't testing you, it was awakening you. You realize that the version of yourself you were so desperate to fix was never broken, just buried. Buried beneath layers of shame, expectation, and performance. And now, in this quiet aftermath, you can finally feel that original self again. Raw, curious, alive. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." and you finally understand what he meant. It was never about healing into perfection. It was about remembering your wholeness, about seeing the divine not above you, but within you. You stop chasing enlightenment like it's a destination. You begin to live it, moment by moment, in the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you love. Awakening is not escaping the world. It's seeing it clearly, maybe for the first time. It's realizing that the chaos you once cursed is the same force that shaped your soul into something unbreakable. And now, when you look in the mirror, you don't see a project. You don't see a problem. You see a person, whole, weathered, real. You see the eyes of someone who has walked through hell and found heaven waiting inside their own heart. You see yourself, not as a story to fix, but as a truth to live. This is awakening, not an ending, a beginning. The beginning of a life that doesn't run from pain but listens to it. A life that doesn't seek approval but radiates authenticity. You have come home to yourself. So now you stand here, not as the person you once were, but as something deeper, wiser, real. You've walked through your darkness and survived it. You've faced your fear and found your power inside it. You've lost who you thought you were and discovered who you truly are. And now comes the hardest part, living it. Because the world will try to pull you back. It will beg you to wear your mask again. It will whisper, "Don't be so intense. Don't be so emotional. Don't be so real." They will call your authenticity rebellion. They will call your depth too much. They will call your freedom dangerous. And you know what? They're right. You are dangerous. To every system built on pretending. To every structure that feeds on your insecurity. To every shallow version of love that only accepts you in fragments. Because a person who has faced their own shadow cannot be controlled by the shadows of others. You have become whole, and wholeness terrifies the world because it cannot be sold, labeled, or contained. You no longer chase peace. You embody it. You no longer beg for love. You radiate it. You no longer hide your scars. You wear them as proof of your becoming. So rise. Rise not as the polished version the world prefers, but as the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. Rise with your pain and your power intertwined. Rise with your softness and your strength aligned. Let them call you intense. You are. Let them call you emotional. You feel deeply. Let them call you complicated. You are infinite. Don't trade your fire for comfort. Don't trade your truth for belonging. You've already walked through hell. Don't stop now just because heaven makes people nervous. Stand in your truth like it's sacred ground. Because it is. You earned it. You bled for it. You burned for it. This is not about becoming fearless. It's about becoming free. Free from the illusions that kept you small. Free from the stories that told you to shrink. Free from the belief that you ever needed fixing. Carl Jung believed that the journey to wholeness isn't about light conquering dark, but about integrating both, so that your soul becomes strong enough to hold the weight of being fully human. That's what you are now. Fully, beautifully human. Unpolished, unfinished, unapologetic. And in that imperfection lies your divinity. So this is your moment. To live, not half alive, but whole. To speak truth, even when your voice shakes. To love without armor. To rise without shame. Because you are not here to impress. You are here to express. to be the reminder that being real is still the most revolutionary act in existence. So go into the world that told you to fix yourself, and show them what it means to finally be real.